everyone. Welcome to what I'm hoping to be my first YouTube video. I'm going to just be working in the sketchbook. It's just a old Canson mixed media sketchbook that I've had for I don't even know how many years. And I've basically just been using it as practice for new mediums or new sort of like just kind of practice like different ways to use stuff. Like this piece here on the left, which I have a short little process on my TikTok for, was done all by watercolor pencils. The Arteza set right here, it was all done by that because I'm very new to watercolor pencils. But this piece, this is what I'll be working on today. And this one I'm just going to kind of do a sort of mixed media sort of approach, probably with watercolors and colored pencils, and maybe even a little oil pastel because I have an idea of what I want that texture sort of be. Voiceover to sort of talk about what I'm doing because it's really just going to be playing around, nothing super fancy. Plus this paper can't really hold a lot of, I have trouble if I overwork it with watercolor, which is why I'm going to be working with sort of other colored pencils as well. That's why on this one I stopped wetting the watercolor pencils and just sort of went in with dry watercolor pencils, but they don't blend as well as like my Prismacolor, so that's probably what I'll use here. But I hope you enjoy. I'm gonna do a little zoom in and speed up and meet you in the voiceover. Welcome to the voiceover part of the video. Thank you so much for getting through that really awkward intro. I almost did a counter for how many times I said in that little intro pre-recorded section. But let's just said it again. Anyway, let's get through it. I have here, you can see I'm just doing sort of a base layer of watercolors. I sped this up pretty fast because it's just dumping some colors in. I wetted the paper first in the sections I was going to do. It helps sort of blend out more even colors when it comes to watercolor. And then I forgot to do it right here. I'm trying to put in the base color and I'm like, oh, I need to wet it. And then here's me wetting the paper to make it sort of more even, because as I was doing it I realized it was getting hard edges in places I didn't want. I just wanted to get a base layer of the color. I kind of just did base layers for watercolor. I wanted to go more in depth, but as you'll see as we go farther in, this paper, it's just mixed media, Canson watercolor, well not watercolor, just mixed media, Canson paper. Not the XL, just mixed media. And it just doesn't take a lot of my watercolor layers very well. You can even see in the background right now it's sort of like doing this sort of pilling sort of thing with the dots. And here I start doing like some basic shadows in the watercolor. And as I'm doing it, I'm looking at the paper and it doesn't feel like if I keep going over it with water, like, you know, after drying, it would just sort of rip or maybe start picking up things. It didn't seem stable enough for me to do more than just very simple shadows on the face. Another reason why I didn't go darker or more layers in the background either. So basically, after that certain point, I just went to pencils. I said, heck it, let's just start getting some actual shades with color pencils because I didn't want to really ruin this sketch already with just over water the paper. And I'll say I have been really loving colored pencils lately. I have had these colored pencils, this set of Prismacolor colored pencils, for absolute years. Pretty sure I got it back in mid 2010s, maybe back in when I was in high school, maybe, because I was watching DeviantArt. I was on DeviantArt and all these people were doing like the cool anime pieces with colored pencil or whatever else thing I was into at that time. So I'm like, oh, I gotta get these, they're so cool, they'll make all my art look great. And then I hated them. I didn't like how not smooth I could get them. I probably wasn't using the right paper or just not able to do it quite right. But lately, I've pulled them out and I'm obsessed with the texture. I like the blending I can get. I like the texture, how easy it is. It's just one of those things that you try mediums that you've tried before
and just suddenly you see them in a new light. That happened with me with watercolor as well. I hated watercolor growing up. Like in school, we would use it, and I absolutely hated it. I would fight with it. It would never go where I wanted it to go. I just got mad at it all the time. But then after a certain point, I just kind of played with it and just did whatever I wanted to, and just kind of at the time I was like, I beat it into submission. I got it working how I wanted it to work. But really, I think it just suddenly clicked. And I think that's what's kind of happening with me in colored pencils lately. Of course, as I put my hand right in front of where I'm coloring in the video, I tried to edit most of that out, but there might be a few points where I forget I'm recording and just cover what I'm doing with my hand. Also not seen is I have a sort of thing arm holding my phone above where I'm doing the art and recording, and sometimes I would get so into the drawing that I would bonk my head on it. I definitely cut those out, but it was funny just rewatching the playback and just suddenly seeing me stop and the whole camera just shaking everywhere. It was pretty funny. But yeah, so here I've just been going through with two different pencils. If I remember correctly, I think they're about process red or another similar color. I probably should have pulled out my pencils for this voiceover to tell y'all exactly what I did. I think it was mostly process red and maybe magenta at this point. Yeah, that's and mulberry. That's mulberry right there when I'm using. I think I just saw it even in the recording. And then a light pink to sort of blend things out. That's what I've sort of figured is if I do like layers of darker, get things, but then you take a lighter pencil and just sort of go over it and it's sort of blending it out, but I don't, because the paper I have has a lot of teeth, because it's mixed media. It's not colored pencils or smooth or vellum or Bristol. It's just mixed media. So there's a lot of teeth. So I'm going to get texture no matter what with this paper, which I'm fine with. I'm really enjoying texture. I like seeing art where you can tell it's art. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you see the brushstrokes in a painting. It's not super smooth and like hyper realistic. I like being able to see the energy and the marks people create in art, especially right now. So I don't mind the texture. Though I did recently get some smoother drawing paper to test out with the pencils, just to see how it is because all I have is mixed media or watercolor pencil because that's usually all I would do. Now here, I will say I was so scared to go in with the darker color because I had sketched out a thumbnail of what I wanted the piece to look at finished, like color wise. And I'll even throw that little thumbnail up here, around here, so you can see what I'm kind of going for the finished product. But it was so scary taking that purpley blue, I'm not sure exactly, I think it was violet blue, and just going at this nice soft shaded face I already have and just going into those dark shades that I really wanted to see. Contrast, I will have to say, has always been an issue with me when I shade and do things, especially with portraits and people. I never seem to make the darks dark enough or just keep everything sort of too light and it just kind of all blends into sort of a mid-tone. And I really need to I want to break through that, so I definitely had to just grip my teeth and be like, okay, it's now or never, and just go in with the darker colors because I wanted something dramatic. And after a while, after I did that initial base layer, as I've done here, and started going back over with some of the more reds and sort of blending it out, I felt more at ease doing it. I was very scared doing the dark colors, but once I got them in there and kind of pushed through the really ugly phase, here I'm adding, some blushes and everything. The ears are just there. I wasn't even sure if I wanted them in the piece, but I'm like, it looks weird without them. But I think I did them all right to not be like super noticeably bad. I did like the colors that I kind of got with. And here, the eyes, I move very fast with the color pencils. I will just have them all right there, pick up one, do a little bit, put it down, pick up another, blend that piece I was just adding. Sort of kind of how I would do digital art when I was able to do it. I would just eyedropper every little shade and just paint and blend that way instead of like using a blur tool or anything like that. Like I have a colorless blender for these pencils, but I have never really been able to make it work right. Even now, I'm not really sure what it's doing. Like, it's probably doing the same thing as me using the lighter pencil and just sort of blending things out, but I can get more, I'm not sure how to explain it. I can just get how I like better with using the lighter pencil than I have been with the colorless blender. Because I like mixing colors, pushing colors together. And I've always just, that's sort of how my brain worked. Even when I was painting, or at least first getting into painting, I would almost just have the tubes out and I would just like put the paint directly from the tube onto my paintbrush so I could blend on the paper, not in a palette. I hate mixing colors in a palette. Like even now with my watercolor, I don't like it. So this sort of approach is just how I've kind of made the coloring pencil my own. I'm not sure if more other people do or not, but, and here's me adding even darker because I realized it's not enough contrast. I needed something more. So I think I grabbed, yep, that's violet blue again, and I just went deeper and deeper into the shadows where I sort of figured they would be. I didn't use a reference for the shadows or shading, so I know it's probably not perfect. I've always just sort of done what looked good, even if it didn't really make sense. I try to get better, but other times, you know. And there, I did start coloring the background because I wanted the background darker, but again, wasn't sure the watercolor would take it. And now we're using a white pencil. I will say, I had to go to the store and buy this white pencil because my original white pencil was just missing from my set. I have no idea. But it definitely showed how older my pencil set has been because the branding on the pencils themselves were different than this white pencil that I had, because the ones I have gold lettering and the white pencil I got is black, and I have bought new pencils since then, and they are also just different style of packaging. But you know what, that's fine. The pencil I have, they still work. Even if they're super old, they're here, they work, and I'm enjoying my time. And I realize I've barely talked about my process this entire time. I've just been sort of chatting. It's going to be a learning curve for me for these videos. I'm going to be sort of seeing what I like, whether I want to do full voiceovers, whether I want to just do some speed paints with music. So please leave a comment if you have a preference, if you'd prefer me to talk more about exactly my process, or if you like just sort of chatting as I'm, going through the video. I will say I really had no idea what I was really doing while I was doing this piece. I just know I wanted to play, I wanted to try using pencils more, and I just wanted to see what I could push them to, see if I could make something that I really liked with the pencils. Because I'd been playing with them a little in my sketchbook, but nothing like a full piece. So I was really just testing things out. Process was just slap them down, blend them out with more colors, add more colors, just see what happens. I do really like how the eyes turned out. I haven't blended them out yet, but I just put like a little pink and a little light purple. And I'm going to be, in a second, hopefully, taking the white pencil and blending them out. Lips, also, pretty proud of this. Overall, as a piece, I actually do really like this. I'm even thinking of putting it up on my own wall, which I never do with my art. I have always had really bad imposter syndrome when it comes to my art, where I'm like, oh, it's not good enough. But you know what? I like how this came out. Here's even more blending with the shadows, just trying to get them smoother so they can stay darker. I will say that more blending. I used so much of this light pink pencil, which I think was just pink or blush pink. Yep, it's just pink. And the light purple, which I believe is lilac. If people want to know the exact pencils I use, oh, there's the blending of the white. I love how the kind of haziness I was able to get with blending the white and that light purple and pink together. I just really liked how that came out. I expected it to be lighter, but it didn't. And you know what? I'm not mad about it. But I will say, just really liking how this piece came along, even if it was just all playing. But as I was saying before, if you want me to list the specific pencils I use when I use color pencils in videos, let me know. If not, I'm just, going to say I used my Prismacolor pencils. And I will have all of my products that I did use in the description box, because I did use this. I'll have like my notepad, because I'll be changing things in videos, as well as I do at the end, oh, and the watercolors as well. And at the end, I am going to be adding some oil pastel. And actually, when I add the oil pastel, I will be jumping out a voiceover. We're coming up there soon, because I recorded my live reaction, because I have done one piece with the oil pastels, and it was just like a little landscape. So I was scared to do it and mess up my whole thing. But now, before that, it's just me layering. I'm actually using my watercolor pencils here because they were easier to get like a really nice dark color and more vibrant than my Prismacolors. But I didn't add water. I just used them because they were a little more vibrant. But otherwise, really think that looks pretty good. Thank you for enjoying this weird rambling voiceover. And soon we will see how well the oil pastel worked out here. I think overall, I like it. I hope you like it too.
We're out of speed time, and now it's back to real time because I'm going to be doing some oil pastel accents from the eyes going up. And I'm really nervous about this because I really like this piece, and I'm scared I'm going to mess it all up. I got some schmutz on this. I'm going to try to get it off. We have deschmutzified the white pastel. I am... Oh god, this is so scary. Let's see. I hope this works. I had a vision. Oh, let's see. Let's see. Okay. Here we go. I'll start on this one. Oh, it's blending with the colored pencil. That is... You know, I probably could have seen this. I probably could have tested this. But I didn't. And you know what? That's okay. Because we're trying things out. Let me try to... That's a cool effect, though. It's not as opaque as I was expecting, because I wasn't really expecting it to blend with the colored pencils, but that's kind of cool. Sorry, I'm so quiet. I'm just focusing really hard. It does kind of look like smoke. That's really neat. I think that looks pretty cool. Maybe. Oh, I'm going to fiddle with it until I die. Maybe. Let's just... I do wish it didn't kind of blend with the colored pencils as much, because I did want this a little more opaque, but I love the texture. I just wish the pupils in the actual eyes kind of stayed the kind of bright white they were. And you know what? I think that's pretty good. See if I can get a little zoom in here. Yeah, we got some nice texture. Oh, it looks really cool. I think I'm gonna take this out actually of the sketchbook because I like this so much. I might hang it on my own wall. All right, here is the finished piece. I'm actually really quite happy how it turned out. I hope everybody who got to this part, you know, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed watching me do this little mixed media piece. It was a lot of fun, a lot of testing out things. I'm still haven't used colored pencils in years, but I'm really enjoying them lately, so this was another kind of more experimental sort of thing. And yeah.